Hi, Nathan here from the ebook reader blog. For this video, I'm going to do a comparison review between the new 12th gen Kindle Paperwhite and the new basic Kindle. Both of these are 2024 models. So we're going to do some different lighting conditions. Right now we're in direct sunlight. We'll come back to this in a minute, but for now, let's talk about the hardware a little bit. So the Paperwhite has a 7-inch ink screen. The base Kindle has a 6-inch ink screen. As you can see here, the Paperwhite has that flush front, and the basic Kindle has the indented screen. They both have the USB-C ports, both have the power button on the lower edge there. So the Paperwhite's waterproof. It has the rubbery coating on the back, where the basic Kindle is just sort of the basic plastic front and back, and it's got the new color now, the light green color they call matcha, and there's also a black color, of course. Paperwhite's available in a couple colors as well. They both have 16 gigabytes of storage, and of course there's a signature edition available for the Paperwhite as well that has more storage and some upgraded features like wireless charging and an auto brightness sensor. So let's go ahead, load up a book here, talk about some of the differences between these two devices. So both have newer upgraded ink screens with better contrast than the previous generation models. When I compare them side by side, the blacks are just a little bit darker on the Paperwhite screen for whatever reason. It's not a big difference. It's just sort of a subtle difference. The contrast, it's very close. The Paperwhite screen just seems a little bit clearer. I was actually expecting the opposite of that. I thought the indented screen maybe would have a little bit of an edge without the added extra layer, but I think it comes down to differences with how the front light is done on these two units. So for this whole video, they will be using Bookerly font with the same settings, so just one notch of bold. So whether it's dark mode or light mode, we'll have the same font setting, so it's an even comparison between the two. So just wanted to compare here in direct sunlight. You can tell with the shadows this portion of the video, direct sunlight coming through the window, so you can get a real clear look at the screens, how they compare. I mean, contrast wise, they're very similar. Like I said, they both have 300 ppi screens. Of course, the Paperwhite has the bigger screen, but when it comes down to the blacks, just looks like on these covers here that the black is just a little bit darker on the Paperwhite screen. Paperwhite's also a little bit faster. Amazon claims it's the fastest Kindle yet. Can't really disagree, but it's not a huge difference. It's just a little bit smoother with scrolling. Loading up different parts of the interface might take a second or two less. So let's switch over to natural lighting right now and talk about the front lights. That's another big difference between these two units, is just the front lights. So the Paperwhite, of course, it adds the warm front light option. Even when you're using the cool front lights, they look a lot different in person. And this is kind of thing that doesn't really translate well through videos. The camera kind of adjusts for one thing, but there's just a clearer quality to the front light on the Paperwhite. I mean, it's not bad on the basic Kindle by any means, but it just sort of there's just sort of like something about the light layer. You get a little bit of refraction, just a little glittery quality to it that, like in the white part of the screen, that you don't see on the Paperwhite. It's just really smooth. So yeah, there are some differences as far as the front light goes and how it's implemented. And of course, the Paperwhite has the warm LEDs, so you can sort of customize the color temperature at night. It kind of helps to soften up the colors, not as harsh as that blue color on the basic Kindle. Amazon did improve the front light on the basic Kindle though, so they made it 25% brighter at the max setting. And I also think that kind of helped. I don't really care about the brighter, really. I mean, I never personally use it that bright, but I think it also kind of helped even it out a little bit. I remember the last model had a little bit of shadowy cones at the bottom. I don't quite notice those as much on this model. It does seem to be a little more uniform. So here's an even darker room. I have the blinds drawn now, so you can get kind of an idea of the front light at the lower end of the spectrum. So again, it's kind of hard to tell with the camera because it does adjust, but there is quite a big difference between the front light on these two, even when you're just comparing the same cool color. But normally I would just have a little bit of the yellow color, so it kind of makes it more of a natural color at night, so it's not really blue or orange, just kind of a natural paper-like color. So both of these models do have the dark mode, so of course you can switch to the black background with the white text. All right, so let's compare the speed a little bit now. Look up a word in the dictionary. Definitely quicker on the Paperwhite. For some reason, taking a little longer than normal on the basic Kindle. Sometimes it'll do that every once in a while. It's just a little bit longer than usual. But yeah, so Paperwhite's definitely a bit faster. Obviously, it's not a huge difference, but as far as just looking up stuff in the dictionary, page turns are very similar, but like running searches will come up quicker on the Paperwhite. Scrolling just a little bit quicker and smoother on the Paperwhite, but not a big difference there either. So page turns very similar. General navigation, jumping around to different parts of the book, pretty similar. Like open up different menus. On the Paperwhite, it usually does respond a little bit quicker. Let's try this again. Not quite as long of a delay on the basic Kindle that time, but definitely Paperwhite still winning those battles. But yeah, overall, just a little bit zippier. When you open up like the top menu here, pretty much the same. But if you open up like the about this book icon or menu that pops up here, this pop-up window, a little bit quicker on the Paperwhite. So again, just a little bit smoother. You see the covers don't flash as much on the Paperwhite as they do on the basic Kindle, but it's a very subtle difference. So for the most part, the software features are identical on these two. Check out the main reviews I'll post for these devices if you want to go in depth with the software, but I mean, they have pretty much the exact same software features. There's really two differences, which I'm getting to here shortly. So as far as the screen size difference, if you're using list view, you'll get 4 covers on the basic Kindle, 5 covers on the Paperwhite. But if you're using cover view, both will show 6 covers at the same time. So just smaller covers on the basic Kindle. So one of the software differences with the Paperwhite, when you're reading a book up here from the menu, you have the option to disable the touchscreen. So that's not available on the other Kindle, but since the Paperwhite has a flush screen, you can disable the touchscreen for everything but page swipes to turn the page. So that way you'll not have any problem accidentally activating stuff on the screen. And another difference with the Paperwhite is down here in the more settings, there's the option to turn on the page turn animation. So for whatever reason, the basic Kindle's never had that. The last Paperwhite had it as well. So you can turn that on. You get sort of this animation when you turn the page. It also kind of helps with eliminating ghosting a little bit, I think, but I kind of like it. I don't know, some people don't. You can turn it on or off at your preference on the Paperwhite. So here's an example of how a comic lays out on the 2 different screen sizes. If you're thinking about reading comics on your Kindle, you may want to know how the different screen sizes compare. So not a huge difference here, but definitely is easier with this particular comic to read the text balloons on the larger 7-inch screen than it is on the 6-inch screen. But here's kind of an example of how like the larger font sizes lay out on the different screens. If you're using the larger font sizes, you're probably going to want to use the Paperwhite. You know, bigger screen definitely helps in that regard. So that's pretty much it as far as outlining the differences between these 2 devices. Obviously, screen size difference, the difference with the front lights. The Paperwhite also has a signature edition model with more storage space. Paperwhite is available in a couple additional colors as well. And then the signature edition model adds the wireless charging, auto brightness sensor, and it doesn't come with ads. So the Paperwhite's $50 more expensive than the entry-level Kindle when you're talking the base model. So a bit more expensive, does have a little bit nicer screen, a little bit nicer build quality. Just sort of depends on if the extra features and the extra screen size are worth it to you or not. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the ebook reader blog and the ebook reader YouTube channel for more reviews. Bye.